Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I will soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I got a gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me or them, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lower, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and they dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate, but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low, but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I will soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are doubting, I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this breaks, I'm going in a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you not kidding me. You don't got way too close, I been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, sorry about the missed stream yesterday. I did have some important stuff that I had to do. Unfortunately, I hate canceling the live streams, but we pretty much just saw what we were looking at for Bitcoin last week continue to play out. But we have a lot to look at on the charts, guys. As we are losing a very key level of support, are we going to be able to get the bounce and a potential continuation up here? If you guys saw the market update that we dropped earlier today, you will know that there are some bearish signs on Market Cypher B, potentially looking for a bigger continuation down. So any bounces we do have to be careful about. So I'm going to break down not only the key levels, guys, but we'll take a look at Market Cypher B. We'll take a look at some of the altcoins. And welcome to another episode of Can Frankie Candles live stream for less than 2 hours. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here on this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday evening as we get this continuation to the downside. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Cal in the chat. What is going on? Panda the Prophet said bouncing straight to zero. Shout out to Panda the Prophet. I hope not. I hope not. I don't think we're going to zero. Unfortunately, I do think we could potentially continue down. I'm going to show you guys exactly why I think that and exactly how low I think we can go, where we're going to be looking for the bounces. We're going to cover everything on tonight's live stream. Let's see. We got Jesse in the chat. Our like, please, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. If we get 750 likes on tonight's live stream, we'll give away some Frankie Candles hats. And if we get 1,000, we'll give away $250 in Solana. So smash up that like button. Shout out to Jesse. I hope you're feeling good, bro. As you guys know, Jesse did get into a motorcycle accident as well as Captain Kirk. So hopefully you guys are still in that speedy recovery or far along that speedy recovery. We got V-Sun in the chat said, let's go higher, please. Shout out to V-Sun. Like I said, there are some signs we can get a local bounce here, guys, but we really got to start reclaiming key support or key resistance because we did lose one of the key levels that we were looking at. We'll cover it in a second, but shout out to you. We got V-Sun in the chat. We got Mrs. B. We got Erica, and we got, hang on. Wait for it. Hey, where'd she go? We got Hannah King in the chat, the princess of the CandleMafia. Drop those tiaras in the chat. Don't forget to show our mods some love. We got Captain Kirk, Rob the Crypto Snob, Darren Does Things, Tyler Durden, Chemistry Bro. You guys know who they are. Show them some love in the chat. We got Creighton C said, dip, brother, into a bounce, lower high, then maybe more downside. Shout out to Creighton C. I actually like that prediction, bro. Long time no see. He was in the premium live stream just a little while ago. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Ross Reynolds, bro. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, I only show up when BTC dumps. My bad, Frankie. Shout out to Ross. No problem, bro. As you know, CandleMafia is making money whether price goes up or down. I am still holding my short, as I talked about earlier today. But without further ado, guys, let's just go ahead and jump right on into the charts. Here we go. All right, guys. So, oh, man. As we were looking at last week, guys, obviously, we had this big key level of support here at the value area low, right? We did get a push into that level, right? We did have a lot of confluence here, guys, and pretty interesting. It's not very common that you see so many levels of confluence. We had many levels here. We had multiple daily MPOCs. We had the value area low, super big levels of support down here. And we just melted directly through them, guys. And usually it's not a good sign when you melt through key support like that, especially when it's coming from a higher time frame like we had here. What happens? This was kind of our last, one of our last support levels. You guys know we did have the value area low. Part of this kind of support level was not only the MPOCs, but we also did have the golden pocket, right? So when you look at the volume profiles, we did get that fake out of the all-time high where we did take that short in the premium Discord. I am still holding that position. I think I have it open right here. Pretty much sitting in the same spot that it was earlier today, up about $19.50, got $1,000 locked in. So I am going to continue to hold this. I may even potentially add to it when I start to talk about my kind of sentiment here for the medium time frames, guys. Now, it's not all bad news. It's not all bad news. But, you know, I'm going to talk about those key levels of resistance if we do get a bounce from where we are, because if we do take another look at the chart here, we'll talk about a potential, we lost the 786, guys. This is pretty much the line in the sand. We got to fulfill the volume profile. Very nice. Deviation above the high, back into the range, back to the POC, lose the POC, back to the low. Beautiful for the short position. Now we're just letting that winner run. But if you guys remember last week and for a while, right, we have been looking at our major Fibonacci retracement pulled from, let me see if I can pull it up here. It's here somewhere, I swear. There it is, right? We do have the macro golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement where we were looking for high time frame candle closures above. Obviously, we did close that weekly candle below, and now we are pushing lower. And losing this Fibonacci retracement, guys, is absolutely critical in my opinion and does open the door, as we talked about on the market update earlier today. It does open up the door to break structure to the downside here, guys, headed towards about $111,000 where we have one of our other key levels of support. But to be quite honest, guys, the big level is kind of sitting a bit lower than that. So I'm going to cover that. We've covered it many times in the past. We're just kind of seeing what we were looking for play out. Obviously, we did get the rejection from the Fibonacci retracement, and that just, for what it's worth, you pull it from the, we pulled this Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low, and when we're looking for a high, a low, a potential lower high before breaking structure to the downside, this is that area, right, where we're looking for that lower high to come in at, and it does look like we did put that in, and it does make the probability of coming down and breaking structure to the downside much more probable, in my opinion, not guaranteed, but very, very higher probability at this point, and one of the last kind of levels of support that we had here was this 786 Fibonacci retracement, right? Once we lost this 786, it really does, this is kind of where I say, hey, if we can't get back above this level, and I'll talk about this in a minute, this kind of does invalidate the local low, high, higher, low, higher, high. If you wanted to get that earlier breakout here, it would have to come in at that golden pocket or 786, in my personal opinion. And, once you lose that 786, now we have an even bigger reason to potentially look for a break of that low. And we are approaching this very, very, very quickly, guys. The reclaim of this, I'll talk about this in a minute, right? Like, there is a possibility, right? We do have some bullish divergences forming, but I'll get to that in a minute. Just to kind of like preface this, it's not all bearish here. There is an opportunity to potentially reclaim the 786, but at this point, guys, if we can't get back above that 786, what are we looking for? That break of structure, right? And that would bring us down to our next major key level, which will sit down here at the NPOC, sitting at about $111,000. Now, is this the biggest level on the chart? To be quite honest, I don't personally think so, right? Is it possible to bounce there? Will we be looking for trades down there in the premium Discord? Absolutely, but it is kind of just like a lonesome level down here. We have the daily MPOC, and that's pretty much it, right? Down here at the 786, we had the 786. We also had a daily level, which is now tapped. And then we also had a weekly level here as well. And we just melted right through that, right? So on the way back up, we are going to run into some resistance here. And, if you're looking for a big bounce to the upside to potentially take out the highs, and I'll show you, again, why this is not my base case based off money flow. But, if you want that to come in, you really, if we could potentially close this daily candle above that 786, maybe you get that kind of fake out of the 786, get back up here, close that candle, that daily candle above, and then maybe you can get a bigger rip to the upside. But to be quite honest, guys, we're going to have to fight this resistance on the way up. And based off money flow here, as you can see, we're just looking at the 4-hour here. Beautiful. I don't want to say beautifully, but very smoothly trending to the downside. It does make us anticipate potential lower highs and lower lows to come, which, again, when you start to think about the macro Fibonacci retracement rejection, the money flow, it starts to look like, hey, the lower highs and lower lows are probably going to be more likely. Don't forget, this is exactly how we predicted the breakdown of this previous volume profile that we were looking at, looking for that continuation down and the break of this range. And the reason we were able to predict that, guys, was based off money flow coming to the downside. We got a little bit of a fake out into the green, but, for the most part, just trending to the downside. You get that money flow crossover, and boom, you lose that range. So, just from a binary standpoint, I hate to be the, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just bringing you the information on the charts. This money flow does look more bearish. So even if we did get a local bounce to the upside, I am going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows, even if we have to come up a bit higher. And I will cover those resistance levels, as I mentioned in the market update earlier today. We'll go over the resistance levels on the live stream. And here we are going to deliver on that. But it's my overall sentiment here, medium term, guys. Like, when we want big moves to the upside and continuations up, you want the money flow to be crossing into the green. And not only is it coming out on the 4-hour, but you also have it coming out into the red on the 3-hour. We already got that crossover. We also got the 2-hour money flow in the red here as well. So, any bounces as of right now, just full disclosure, I am going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows, potentially looking to add to that short position that I just showed you. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, guys. That's the way Bitcoin tumbles. So that is what I'm pretty much going to be looking at. And, unless we can get that daily candle closure up here and really start cooking to the upside, and even if that does happen, money flow is still coming out. So even if we do reclaim that, I am still going to be careful of lower highs and lower lows. And, last week it was like, can we bounce here? Yes. Can we bounce here? Yes. But once you lose that, right, you're looking to break that structure to the downside. And again, we do have that next key level at 111K. Is the top in for Bitcoin? Are we going into the bear market? Well, as you guys know, obviously, we do have the lower support levels. I just to mention this, we do have an untapped daily down here sitting at about 112,505. So that's just like a local level of support that we can look at for some intraday bounces. But for the most part, guys, the bigger support levels here, other than the $111,000, 110,937 daily MPOC, obviously, we do have the lower volume profile that we've been looking at for quite some time. We bounced off those structural highs. This was the top of our support level, and we did get that nice bounce, right? And we held it, and we did put in that higher high, but after getting the fake out of that all-time high with the rejection of that 786, if we're going to look to break structure down here, guys, this is the big zone to be looking at, in my opinion, assuming that we will break that low. I will be looking between about 111,000 down to about 109,873. You have the daily MPOC and that value area high of the range. And to be quite honest, guys, like this is a big key level of support. But, again, the golden pocket daily MPOC confluence that we have down here, we have some low tick daily MPOCs, a regular daily MPOC, a low tick daily MPOC, golden pocket, POC of the range, and this anchored VWAP coming up as well. If we can get that to be confluent, if we do have to come down here and break that structure, which again is the anticipation based off money flow. Money flow always indicates the longer term trend, as you guys know. But if we do have to see that continuation down, guys, this is the next big level to look at. And, if we lose this, right, the big level, right, this is, two levels of confluence. Value area high, daily MPOC, it's all right. It's all right. But down here, guys, from a context standpoint, from a confluence standpoint, this is the biggest level of support in my opinion, right? Sitting between about 108,751 all the way down to about $107,000 even, I would say. This is the biggest level of support because if we are going to look for macro golden pocket retracements to the downside, right, pull from the low to the high, that golden pocket sits right here. So, if we're looking for this to be a potential, our initial kind of thought process here is initial breakout with nice follow through. But, we bounced off the earliest level here, right? The highest level that we had within this major zone of support. We were willing to anticipate or willing to endure pullbacks into that golden pocket. And at the end of the day, guys, this could be a healthy golden pocket retracement. And this is definitely going to be a big level where I'm looking at for bounces. Based off the high time frame money flow, I'll take a look at some of the higher time frames with you guys in a minute. But depending on what the charts look like, if and when we have to get down here, we'll very likely be able to figure out if it's a really good low or if it's just going to look like another unfortunate lower high, lower low situation. But this golden pocket, just from a context standpoint, guys, is super, super important. And if we do get that bigger drop, right, this is going to scare a lot of people. And I just want you guys to be aware, this is technically a healthy golden pocket retracement, right? So that is why I will be looking for longs here. And of course, we do have that 786 sitting below. I don't want to cover this for too long because I've covered this so many times in the past. But if we do have to get back down below that 786, at the end of the day, let's say we come down here, maybe we get a little bounce, a little lower high, lower low. If we do not hold this golden pocket, guys, you lose that POC. As always, we're going to be looking for that continuation down to the value area low of the range, which is confluent with that 786. Let me pull this up, right? I'll just bring this up in its raw form here. I'll pull up that macro volume profile, and I'll just pull the golden pocket fresh here just so it's nice and clean from the low here all the way to the high. I would, you could just see the confluence lining up here. So many levels in here on top of the anchored VWAP coming up. Many, many levels, right? That's the level I want to hold. I'll be honest, guys. You have the value area high of the macro range sitting at 105,742. Maybe you wick into that, but you don't really want to lose that, in my opinion, guys, because if we lose this, sure, you have the 786, but as we've covered so many times in the past, we would have to view this as a zone, right? So, like, if you're just looking for simple support levels here, I would say the biggest level right now is sitting right here, as I just previously mentioned, and then that second zone is going to be, sitting down here between the value area high and the 786. The reason I prefer to hold the golden pocket is because the situation down here could be difficult, right? If you bounce off the 786, it's an area where you could put a higher low in at, but you do have the value area high sitting just above you. And with such a macro value area high sitting there, it has the opportunity to knock you back into this range and potentially dip you a little bit lower, potentially targeting that $97,000 POC. And, this is just what it is, right? Hopefully we don't have to deal with that, but just, for you guys to be aware of, I want you to be prepared. If we come down there, it is support, but from a context standpoint, it is going to be a difficult situation. I will be looking for longs, but depending on what money flow looks like down there, right? If we have high time frame money flow coming out, maybe the daily, maybe the 16-hour money flow coming out, we do still have to be aware that this is the biggest level of resistance to get above if you bounce off that 786. I don't want to get too deep into that because we're still pretty far away. I mean, we're still 7% away from that. I mean, I'm not saying you can't see that level very fast, but, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But right now, the big levels to look at that are more tangible, right? Like not as far away, is going to be the $111,000 POC and then the Golden Pocket daily MPOC confluence down here, again, between about $109,000 to $107,000. Please, for the love of God, I really hope we don't have to deal with the lower levels, guys. If we have to come down here, I just pray that the bounce comes in here. I don't want to ever spread fear or anything like that. Now, will this make me think that the bear market is in? Not necessarily, right? When we talk about the long-term kind of continuation of this cycle, are we going to see that final blow off top? Are we going to see the alt season come in? And I would say that long-term sentiment is still intact. And it's very hard to predict the timing of how this will play out, right? Like maybe we get the rate cuts in September. This will overall be good for the market, right? But you could also kind of see that shocking like flash crash off of that news. We've talked about the kind of buy the rumor, sell the news event with the rate cuts coming in. But historically, guys, it would still point towards potentially ending that cycle in the grand finale, that firework grand finale of the cycle, the part that everybody waits for. The Bitcoin goes up into its all-time high. The alt season finally happens, whether it's an explosive alt season or maybe a muted alt season. It does seem, right, like even if you get that turbulence on the rate cuts, like oftentimes it could be a flash crash before we can finally see, maybe they start QE and then we finally start to see like FOMO come in. And another reason why I'm not like super concerned up here, although we are seeing bearish signs, macro Fibonacci rejection. We also have the weekly bearish divergence, right? We talked about this last week before the weekend on Friday. Hey guys, we have the green dot printing, but if this disappears by Sunday, we will just essentially have the weekly bearish divergence, higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves. And we didn't have the green dot disappear, but it's pretty much the same situation. We had the green dot confirm and then an instant red dot start to print. So, we would still technically have that weekly bearish divergence, which is a bearish sign, right? But we do still have a little bit of room to come down here and still put in healthy higher lows before coming back up. It's not until we lose that 786 at about 103,000, let's call it 103,800, excuse me. It's not until we lose that where I'm going to be looking for that bigger correction to the downside, potentially, right? Because if you're going to be looking at that Fibonacci retracement, you're looking for higher lows and higher highs off the Golden Pocket 786. Once you lose that 786, that's the invalidation of the higher low, right? Based off of how I do my technical analysis, and that's where you expect the crack of structure to the downside, which would lead you directly into that $97,000 POC. So that just makes sense to me personally, and that weekly bear div could be the thing to do it, right? Doesn't mean it has to be over forever, right? We could pull, our deeper Golden Pocket pulled from the low here at $75,000. You can see we still have Golden Pocket support here on the value area low, and then the 786 coming in on all of this confluence. And again, that's super far away. We might not even have to deal with that. But just to give you guys kind of an idea of what I'm looking at here, it's going to be very hard to kind of figure out, we talked about potentially having some effery before those rate cuts. This could be the start of it, right? It could be, super, super confusing, super, annoying, right? I mean, let's just be honest, right? No one wants this to happen, but I like to have you guys ready for like the higher time frame context, right? This is what helped us understand that this was not going to be the start of the bear market. We were looking for higher lows and higher highs, which we did get, and part of the reason we were able to do that was by understanding the longer term context, right? So just be aware of that, right? Even if we come down a little bit more, investing in anything is not usually just like, oh my God, we're breaking out, instant green candle, as we've been covering. We're talking about the pullbacks, and hopefully you guys kind of see that, right? The TA, more often than not, will play out. I just want you guys to be ready and aware of what we're looking at next here and where I'm expecting those bounces to come in. It's an if this, that situation, right? Hopefully we can just get the bounce off the Golden Pocket. I pray. But if we do lose that 786, this is the biggest level on the chart, in my opinion, as of right now. That could potentially, at the end of the day, get accepted into your value area high. POC, lose the POC, value area low. But even then, macro support down there as well. This is my least favored situation, right? I'm not saying you have to see this happen, but just keep you guys aware. It's an if this, then that. If this can't get back out, then that could be in the cards potentially, and that's something you have to be aware of. And when you have that longer-term context of understanding of a macro golden pocket down here, macro 786, it kind of makes those dumps a little bit less scary. Not much less scary, but a little bit less scary. And when you get these dumps to the downside and you're in those short positions like we are, obviously it is kind of nice because you could just continue to cash out and make money on the way down. So that's what I'm looking at here. I want to talk about some of the resistance levels on the way to the upside because, as I said here, we do have some potential bullish divergences forming here. 90-minute higher lows on your momentum waves, lower lows on your price action. The one thing I don't love about this is that we front ran that daily. But if we see these bull divs give us a bounce, the level to get above locally is going to be our 786 Fibonacci retracement that we just lost, which was a huge level we looked at last week. Lose this, can't get back above. That's where we're expecting to break a structure to the downside to come to 111K. And it does seem that that is what we're seeing play out potentially here. But if we are able to get a bounce, all eyes on this 786 at 114,550. If we can flip that back to support, maybe we get a bigger retracement. And Frankie, is that the breakout? Does that mean the higher low is in? It's not possible. But again, look at your money flow, guys. Like, money flow, this is what I love about money flow. It's like one of the most simple things that you can look at to anticipate trend, right? Again, that's how we predicted this drop. It's how we predict a lot of our continuations down. And, even if we reclaim that level, chances of this being the breakout to new all-time highs, in my opinion, is going to be a bit lower. And I would be looking for lackluster retracements when money flow is coming out. This keeps you on the right side of the trade. When money flow comes out like this, especially when it's crossing over into the red, you are much better off waiting for the retracements and shorting the lower highs before getting the continuation to the downside. You want to be on the right side of that trend. It doesn't mean that you can't try to scalp this, make some money on the little day trades or scalps, but overall, I would say the continuation to the downside does look likely here, in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the TA is wrong, but that's what we're seeing on the charts, and I have to bring you guys this raw, data-driven, binary information because, again, the TA is going to be right more often than it's not. So I'm going to come into chat before we start to look at the resistance levels above. I will go ahead and jump on into chat here. Let's see. We got Rob the Crypto Snob in the chat, says, good evening, Candle family. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Welcome in, brother. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Shout out to Sam Berger, said, ain't no way we lose that POC. I hope not, guys. And I know, we do have a lot of levels on the chart here. I try to break things down as simple as possible, but we do just simply have a lot of levels here, guys. So, I don't want to like leave out any key levels. But again, like if I had to kind of give you the longer term context, it's like, yeah, sure, 111 to 110K is like a key level of support. Before I even, we'll just take this off the chart to make things nice and simple. And I will take the macro profile off the chart, until we come down here and play with that 786. Right now, generally, the big levels I'll be looking at are going to be right here and right here. 111 to 110K, lose that. 109 to 107K. These are the biggest levels of support, especially with this massive anchored VWAP coming down, or coming up rather. This is pulled all the way from the $75,000 low. So huge levels of support there. And then we'll just bring those lower levels into play as we approach them, if we even have to. So these are the next biggest levels to watch, in my own personal opinion. And because of that macro fib rejection from the Golden Pocket 786, the break of structure is higher probability here. So there you go. But let's see here. Shout out to Mr. Red Bear, said, is this one of those cases where everyone's calling bear, so we should think bull? Shout out to Mr. Red Bear. I mean, listen, this is something I take into account, and this is honestly one of the reasons why I do still think, even if we have to see effery happen here, guys, like I said, a lot of times, like rate cuts can be looked at as like a recession signal, and it could cause panic in the market, but oftentimes, like, you need that panic, you need that pain to trigger the QE, and then finally see that liquidity, the Fed start QE and funnel that liquidity, and it takes a little bit of time for that to funnel into the altcoins and the risk on assets, right? So like we could totally see a lot of effery here, but one of the other like just basic reasons, like not even from a TA standpoint, of why this just doesn't feel like an all-time high to me. And again, like, are there technical signals here? We have the weekly bearish divergence, like I just showed, which is technically printing right now, and we also have the potential monthly bearish divergence looking to print, but not all weekly bear divs are created equal. I can't tell you how many times we saw these this monthly bearish divergence, higher highs, lower highs, right? People are like, that's the top. How could you not see this? This was the top of the bear market, the top of the bull market last time, but they're not all created equal, right? Like we're in a interesting situation here macroeconomically, right? So, what do we think here, right? Massive pullback to 75K, sure. Higher low, higher high. That was the bias. We did see that happen, right? And every time there's one of these weekly bear dips, people are just always like, oh my God, the top is in. Could they be right? Maybe. But again, I just think that if we do see the rate cuts, if we do see QE, you could get caught off sides if we get some kind of a panic dump before they finally it just finally goes up back into a straight line to put in that final all-time high. Alt season happens, etc. But the other thing is to sentiment, right? Typically, just bring it back to 2021, right? If you were here in 2021, you will know how many people, right? I'm sure there were some people, right? But how many people up here were not super bullish? Not a lot. The majority of people up here are, oh my God, 100K incoming, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. That's not the sentiment we see here, right, in the current price action. And, just from a general, market psychology standpoint, right, it's just, not the general sentiment that we have when the top of the bull market comes in. And, is that a guarantee that the bear market's not here? No, but, again, the probability is still higher, in my opinion, that we eventually put in a new all-time high, even if we have to endure a little bit more pain. And I know I sound like a broken record saying that, but hopefully you guys realize, when I sound like a broken record saying that, it is typically the case. I can't guarantee I'll be right every single time. Obviously, we've been wrong before. We will be wrong again. But, if everybody was just mega bullish here, oh my God, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, this is likely going to cause a lot of fear, and we're not going to see that perma-bull, golden super cycle. It's going to $1 million by the end of the year. We're just not seeing that happen, right? Retail really hasn't entered the market yet, and it's just typically what we see at the top. We're not seeing that right now. So even from a market psychology standpoint, in my opinion, it doesn't really seem that toppy from a sentiment standpoint. Let's see. Shout out to Amina. Thank you for the super chat. Says, hi, thanks for your input. That's all. Have a lovely evening, lol. Shout out to Amina. Hey, thank you so much for that super chat, and thank you for the kind words. And we will have a lovely evening because you're in the chat. Let's go. Shout out to Amina. Thank you for that. But let's see here. Bada boom, bada bing. I'm going to die of old age waiting on alt season. Yeah, shout out to Jay Gillian. To be honest, right, we've talked about this recently when I brought up the time fib here. We do have time not only just till the rate cuts, but again, I am still going to anticipate maybe we get the rate cuts in September potentially, right? And then there's a little bit of effery, a little bit of fear. And we do have this one-to-one time fib coming in on about October 20th. Which, I'm not expecting the top to come in on that day necessarily, but, we've shown this in the past. The same kind of fib time pull was the one-to-one, was the all-time high that came in here in November. It's also came in Q4, right? It's October, September, October, November. We're kind of peaking out there. It's just very similar timing, and based off the 4-year cycle, it could make a lot of sense to put in another new all-time high. And I don't just want to sound like a perma bull here, but I try to show all the actual reasons I feel this way, right? Could I be wrong? When it comes to investing, especially when it comes to trading, or just buying and selling long-term bags, you have to play devil's advocate with yourself, right? I will never just come up here and be like, guys, it's the 4-year cycle, guaranteed alt season. It's impossible for alt season to not to happen, right? So you have to play devil's advocate. And if I were to play devil's advocate here, I would say, listen, you can only do your best to try to, analyze past price action, analyze past patterns, and find the highest probability outcome, which I still think would be to build out a major top here. But that does not mean that it's impossible that the top isn't in, right? Again, I don't personally fall in that camp, just like I didn't fall in that camp down here. And we were right in that case, right? But, if I had to play devil's advocate, maybe we see something different, right? If we see some kind of serious recession, Bitcoin's never really been through a super big recession like that. So that could be a situation that is a lot different. But from a chart standpoint here, guys, this drop is not. Again, we're not even at the golden pocket retracement here, right? If we came down here, there's still no reason to worry. Just like when we came down for this retest, we said, hey, you could dip down into these highs, potentially a little bit lower onto the golden pocket, right? And it would be a breakout, a retest of the structure, and a higher low for a higher high. Is this still in the cards, right? Just from a if we were breaking down below the 786, which if this happens, you will see me say this, right? Because it's on the charts. We come down here, we don't get any support on the golden pocket, we lose this 786. Well, then it's let's break structure to the downside. Right. But, as of right now, I wouldn't say there's anything super alarming. It doesn't mean the top's not necessarily in. But again, I don't fall in that camp. So take that for what it's worth. I wish I could just say here, guys, guaranteed alt season. I personally believe that, but I can't guarantee it. Right. And there are situations maybe this time is different. Right. The people who say this time is different get wrecked every single time, whether they're bearish saying this time is different, waiting for Bitcoin to go to 3K. at the bottom of the 2022 bear market, those bears got wrecked. People waiting for 100K up here, they got wrecked, right? It's never really been that different. I know this cycle has been a little bit different. They all have their own little quirks, right? But all the people who say super cycle is never going down, or this is the bear market of the century, we're going to go past the typical percentage drop in a bear market, these people are wrong every single time, right? So it doesn't mean that they're going to be right every single time, right? A broken clock is right twice a day, and you do have to keep in mind that there is a chance that something different can happen, and maybe you don't see an alt season, but I would still say the probabilities are lower, and that's all you can do is, stack your bearish puzzle pieces, your bullish puzzle pieces, and stack all your TA, and just go with the highest probability outcome. And that's why risk management is the most important thing when it comes to not only trading, but also investing, right? You have to limit your risk, understand what you're willing to risk, and where you want to cut your losses at. So, again, just playing devil's advocate against myself, I will never come up here and say it's guaranteed. It's just the camp that I fall in, and it's based off real information, not just me saying, watch my YouTube video, it's going up, guys, give me more clicks. It's not that, right? It's based off the information on the chart. Then you look at things like Bitcoin dominance, right? Obviously, Bitcoin dominance is still where we at? Let me just pull this up on our alt chart here, because this is where we have the TA, right? Like Bitcoin dominance still from a high time frame perspective looking very bearish. There's really no way around this. If I had a reason to say this looks super bullish, I would say it. Sure, you have a 2-day bull div confirmed. We looked at this, right? You lose the value area low. Not impossible for a 2-day bull div to give you a little bounce to the upside, which would definitely cause a little bit more pain, or maybe a lot more pain on the altcoins. But at the end of the day, right, we've seen this happen in the past. You get back down to that value area low, you even slip below it, and you could still kind of bing bong around here, which would cause that turbulence before the bigger drop down. I know I sound like a broken record saying that, but, it's nice to have that broken record in your ear if you do see it happen, right? Because it's kind of like reassurance of like, okay, like this isn't unexpected, right? The markets move in ebbs and flows, right? So you have to anticipate those pops to the upside. But from a money flow perspective, guys, this still looks weak, right? It's not my opinion, right? This is just looking at the charts. 2-day money flow crossing over into the red, right? This would indicate lackluster retracements, lower highs, and lower lows eventually to come. But it could take some time, right? It's very hard to kind of predict, like, will it take until September 14th, like maybe. It's very hard to call that timing, right? That's why we have to assess the situation as it develops, right? There's new information that comes on the charts every single day. But I would just say, from a simple standpoint, 2-day money flow coming out, your daily money flow is also tanking to the downside. And then you take a look at the 3-day money flow is coming out, but you could print a green dot here. So low time frame, or I should say short-term turbulence potentially incoming for dominance, which would be bad for altcoins. But from a high time frame perspective, like this looks very weak in my opinion. Unless you see some kind of like massive fake out with your 2-day money flow into the green, like obviously anything is possible, but every time we look at the money flow, right? How many times does the money flow on a high time frame like that just completely fake out? And oftentimes when it does, we're able to predict that fake out, right? Like all the way back here, excuse me. Where was it? On the daily time frame, we had like a pretty big fake out on money flow. But if you guys were here at this time, we were actually looking for that fake out, right? Like very unlikely that Bitcoin goes to 50K and then we just get that massive dump into the bear market, right? So like that fake out was very likely. We're clearly in a bull market here. We're looking for higher lows and higher highs, and this was very likely a fake out. Those are very hard to call. But even when, money flow was coming, the high time frame money flow is very rarely wrong. But like even in these situations, usually you're able to predict that, right? So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin dominance still looks weak. Doesn't mean your altcoins have to rip tomorrow or the next day or next week or next month, right? You have to have a long-term outlook, right? I think this is where most people wind up wrecking themselves, right? Because they come in when it's exciting, they buy the top, and then on these pullbacks, even on Ethereum, I will get into the altcoins in a second, right? Like we look at this pullback. Let me get rid of some of these local fibs. We get into this major target that we looked at on Ethereum on all the market updates and on the live streams at about 47.40 all the way up to the all-time high at 48.68, right? This is a resistance level, right? Like, so getting pullbacks from here, as we've talked about time and time again, are not impossible, right? Like, you would expect a pullback from this resistance, right? Now, if you could cook above it, more power to you. But it's not shocking to get these pullbacks, right? So, if you get excited about Ethereum, and I don't know if anybody did this, right? I would assume at least someone in the chat might have done this, right? You see the breakout, you're like, oh my God, we're going up. You buy the top, and then you get spooked out on the corrections to the downside. But at the end of the day, guys, Ethereum's had a massive move to the upside. You can come down and correct this without, calling for a bear market, right? And again, on top of that, you still have early weekly money flow crossovers on Ethereum, which could be very similar to seeing the high time frame money flow come out on Bitcoin dominance, right? You want dominance money flow coming into the red because we want that thing to go to zero so we can get an alt season, and you want the high time frame money flow on something like Ethereum, which is the mother of all altcoins, coming into the green, right? So we do have a lot of things still lining up here, right? A lot of this stuff has not changed, but we're just seeing that pullback. And I know sometimes I have to ease the fear, ease the tension when we see this stuff happen. But if you watch this show enough, you will know it's resistance. Resistance is resistancing right now. It's not like, oh my God, it's all over, right? So there you go. And I'll cover these local levels in a minute with you guys as well. I mean, as you can see, 4-hour money flow also coming to the downside on Ethereum. So not only can Bitcoin continue to pull back, but so can Ethereum. We still have major support levels down here that I'll cover in just a minute. But let me hop in the chat real quick. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Eugene Sky said, I'm calling a short-term bottom already because I'm tired of seeing my PF bleeding. Shout out to Eugene Sky. I mean, yeah, I would say on Bitcoin, if you're looking for a local bottom, right, watch that 90-minute, I think we confirmed this, right? Oh, no, printed that 90-minute bull div, but again, with the 4-hour money flow, right, what's the anticipation there, guys? I'll just keep it nice and simple. Money flow comes out, lackluster bounces, lower highs and lower lows. And again, like I covered in the market update earlier today, just to get through this real quick before I move into the altcoins. Biggest level of resistance above, in my own personal opinion, is going to be, let me go ahead and get rid of this fib. I'll actually hide this as well. The biggest level of resistance for me personally, we have the anchored VWAP pulled from the all-time high here, coming in at about 117,426, right? So if I pull up the daily MPOCs, we have a daily MPOC at 117,637, and we also have a daily level sitting up here as well, and the POC of the range. And if we pull our Fibonacci retracement, you can see here, there is a lot of confluence of resistance in, I would say, about 117 to 118.3, right? So even if we get the bounce, right, I am definitely interested. This is a massive resistance level, right? So we could potentially put a macro lower high here before continuing down as well. So 4-hour money flow, very simple. Lackluster bounces to the upside, lower highs, lower lows to come, especially with the rejection of the macro fib. There's many reasons to look for this. And then if we flip that POC, maybe we see something a little different, right? Maybe we can then reassess the situation and say, well, hey, we ripped right through that resistance, flip this to support. You can look up towards the value area high. And I would say this is the less likely situation. But if something changes as we push up into these levels, well, then maybe we can look for a bigger breakout. But I would say that's the lower probability at this point with the way the charts look right now. Shout out to Trade Made. Thank you for the super chat, bro. One of the best names in the game, bro. Trade Made's fire. Says, Frankie. Shout out to the goats. Say, can you give me the sauce on SEI? Much appreciated. Shout out to Trade Made. Yes, we will try to take a look at SEI for you. I'm going to jump into some of the altcoins. We'll cover Ethereum. We'll cover Solana. We'll cover XRP. And then we'll take some requests from the free chat. Please do not super chat your altcoins. Does not guarantee that we look at them. I wish we had all the time in the world to sit here and look at every single altcoin. But just drop them into the free chat, and we will take those requests from there. But let's continue on here. Checking it on chat. Shout out to Bullish Bob said, the sauce is we're going down with the ship. Captain always goes down with the ship, baby. I'm just kidding. I will not be holding all the way down. If I do see that there are bear market warning signs, I am not going to look to hold my bags all the way to the bottom. But again, I am in a little bit more of a cushy position, right, because of what I teach here every single day. And that is the simple idea of buying low in the bear market and selling high, right? So even if we had to get a big dip here, right, or a massive, massive dump, and this time is different, and if this time is actually different, and we see a bear market, right, still selling massively in profit. So just keep that in mind. And if you're not in that situation, just take this. If we do go into another bear market, and again, I don't want to be sitting here being like, oh my God, it's bear market, watch does yet. But, if you're in that camp, I know a lot of people feel bearish on these dumps, so I try to see it from other people's standpoint. Sometimes I get up here as we're dumping, and people are like, why is this guy not freaked out? Dude, obviously we're dumping. Why aren't you bearish? But it's just, I've been looking at these charts for so long, it's kind of hard to scare me unless we see real macro levels start to crack. But if you're looking at that and you're like, well, man, I bought up here, take that as a lesson, right? And then whenever we do go into another bear market, it'll give you that confidence to be like, well, hey, let's say 2021, right? In 2021, if you were buying on the way up, right, and then you wound up, finally, the higher low, and now we're going into 100K, and then you held into the bear market, right? Take that as a lesson, right? And be like, well, hey, this was super painful. And then when you're in the bear market, think, well, hey, Bitcoin's down 76%, or, even if you look a little before that, like, oh, Bitcoin's down 70%, maybe I should start buying, right? Because last time I bought on as it was going up, and that didn't work out so well. So maybe I should buy the fear instead of buying the greed. But again, I just don't think retail really came in here. If like retail was in here screaming up only, it would be a little bit more worrisome for me. But we're just not seeing that. It just might be a long, confusing road, guys, and that's just it's the way the market moves, right? Could just get some of that effery. Hopefully not, though. It would be much nicer to not have to deal with that, but, it's not reality. So, let's see. Yo, shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Let's go. $20 super chat. I appreciate you so much, bro. He says, is the bull done? Let me just pull out my big crystal balls. You have 2 crystal balls? That's wild. Shout out to Creighton C. Now I just need to rub them. Wow, rubbing 2 crystal balls. Wow, that's kind of crazy. Anyway, now I just need to rub them. Feels good, but I've not popped my top, so eventually higher. Shout out to Creighton C. I like that. It's kind of, yeah. I mean, hey, let's go. I'm with that. Shout out to Creighton C. If you got your crystal balls, guys, start rubbing them really quickly if you want to know if the bear market's coming. But anyway, let's see. Shout out to Eugene Sky said, please rub harder for a huge pump. Good Lord. All right. Anyway, continuing on. Shout out to Creighton C. It's causing chaos in the chat. Let's see. Make sure you have baby powder for them crystal balls. Okay, shout out to Vegas Claw. Anyway, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to leave that there. We got some female CandleMafia in the chat, boys. But anyway, let's see. Jesse said, bruh. But yeah, so we'll watch that, guys. Biggest level to reclaim, in my opinion, if we get a bounce here, if we start cooking to the upside, looking for that 786. Where's it at? Looking for that 786 reclaim, which is pretty much at the top of this blue box, sitting at blue box, guys, blue box. $114,577. All right, so let's go ahead and cook on some of these altcoins, guys. Obviously, we already kind of took a look at Ethereum very briefly, but just to keep an eye on this, give you guys the next key levels down here. Obviously, all these levels remain the same. We got back into our volume profile. We could not get out. We rejected the golden pocket 786. And where you expect price to go from here, deviation above the high, break into the range, bearish retest, inability to get out. At that point, next target for price is that POC based off the laws of the volume profile, going from that value area high to the POC, and potentially, if you can't hold that POC slash macro 786 sitting between 4,082 all the way down to about $4,014, we could potentially see that value area low come in. And if you thought that was scary, just understand, guys, if we had to go, and we do have that weekly red dot incoming, and we covered this last week, don't be surprised if you see the bigger corrections on the altcoins. There are reasons to look for this other than Bitcoin dominance putting in the bullish divergences. We have some of these high time frame red dots, not money flow, but red dots printing, which could indicate a continuation of the downside. But look at your weekly money flow. It's crossing into the green. Dominance crossing into the red, Ethereum crossing into the green. So even these bigger retracements, as long as nothing big changes on this money flow, we could look for higher lows and higher highs. Hopefully we could just hold inside this range, bing bong around before a breakout. But even if you lose this value area low slash 786 without being able to reclaim it, right, sitting at 39.33, you lose this range, all eyes on the 35.30 value area high. I've covered this on Friday. When we look at Bitcoin, right, the same fib pull from the all-time high to the bear market low, 786 sitting here. This was our line in the sand to look for all-time highs on Bitcoin. And I know we did put a little baby all-time high in here at 74K, but at the end of the day, what happens, right? You push up, there's your doorway to higher prices, all-time highs, and then, oh my God, right? And then eventually you are able to hold it and get that bigger push to the upside for true all-time high to come in. And what happened on this last little dip to the downside here, we did get a tap of that previous value area high. So it's kind of similar on Ethereum. Same fib pull from the high to the low, 786, doorway to all-time highs. Obviously, we got slapped down by this many a times, but now we are back above it. It would be nice to just very cleanly flip this to support, break above, flip it to support, and send it up. But if you lose this, right, you could potentially come and play around with some of these lower levels at the value area high before continuing back up. I would not prefer a drop down to our big Fibonacci retracement, golden pocket sitting here between about $3,140 all the way down to about $3,000. But technically, from a TA standpoint, guys, this wouldn't even be the, let me hide some of this. Let me hide this upper range just so I can clean up the chart. If we do wind up losing this, golden pocket, still a really big level of support. 786 daily MPOC sitting right here between about 28.21 and 26.77. Still a big level of support. So it wouldn't really be until we lose that 786 where I would say, hey, guys, yikes, might be able to crack down to the value area low and potentially beyond. But there's tons of room, right? The drop to the 786 would be about a 34% dump. Again, I'm not saying you can't see that, but we're still pretty far away. So, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But just to give a high time frame kind of context there, right? Like, just like Bitcoin could go for the golden pocket retracement, right? Like, even if we get back into this range, like, these are still big support levels to look at. And, of course, you're going to have to battle back out of this volume profile, right? That value area high is going to be key resistance that you have to get back above. But for the most part, still big support down here. If something changes and we have to look lower, we will. But right now, breaking that 786 at about $2,700, that would be kind of the indication that I would be looking for that POC value area low to come in. And a break of structure to the downside right here, right? Cracking you right below $2,000. And again, I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm not calling for this. But just to show you guys kind of the context here of where you could look for those bigger supports, right? Hopefully, we just do something like Bitcoin did, right? When it broke above its macro 786, you kind of just play around, hold the value area high, and then eventually crack to the upside. And again, dominance, money flow coming out. Dominance looking weak, right? It could still support. Red dot would be an ebb or flow to the downside for higher lows and higher highs, just like down here on the 2-day money flow. Down here, we said, hey, break above the value area low. At that point, you stay inside the range. You're looking to fill the entire volume profile, which we saw happen. But what happened here? Bearish divergence on the 2-day. Red dot prints, big cool off. But money flow comes up. You're looking for higher lows and higher highs, right? Same thing here, but on the weekly, right? Red dot could print, but you're going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs. As long as that money flow stays in the green, right? But that red dot is bearish, and it is incoming. So the pain could continue, right? Just want to have you guys ready. So there we go. Let's see. Shout out to Giga Longbottom said, shout out Amanda Bynes. Shout out to Amanda Bynes. Shout out to the Amanda Show. Anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to Eugene. Said, chat was fine until we got Creighton's double crystal balls. Shout out to Eugene. Yeah. Creighton just derailing the chat, man. Unbelievable. Let's see. Shout out to Dutchy. Said, sorry, Darren. I brought many people to this place, but it's like apples. There's always a chance that they're rotten. Shout out to Dutchy. Oh, God. Dave Digital in the chat. What is going on? Said, I'm short, but it may be because I longed 3X unnecessarily. Shout out to Dave Digital. Do I smell revenge trading? Shout out to Dave Digital. Double D's in the chat if you have a membership for our boy Dave Digital. Shout out to Michael S. Said, is that the real Andrew Tate or somebody pretending? I hope it's the real Top G. If that's the real Top G, what's good, bro? What's good? But let's see. All right, so let's go into some of these other altcoins. All right, so we took a look at Ethereum. Those are my thoughts, guys. And again, 4-hour money flow. Again, still cooking at the downside here on ETH, right? That crosses into the red. Lower highs and lower lows are going to be more likely. So just be aware of that so it doesn't scare you. Lose that 786, then be scared for at least, another drop of about 25%. But until we come down there and it starts looking like trash, in my opinion, right, it's just ebbs and flows in the market. Shout out to Indian Martini. Says, Frankie, call Uncle Powell and convince him to cut. Shout out to Indy Martini. I think I actually do have the rate cuts are still at like 84% or something like that. So still decent chance that they cut rates. Give me the sauce on XRP, Frankie. Shout out to Perry. We will take a look at XRP. I'm going to take a look at Solana real quick, and then we'll jump into XRP. Let's go ahead and take a look at Solana here. We're on our alt template. Let's take a look here. All right, well, we're bouncing. We're supporting from support. Support is supporting right now. Daily MPOC, golden pocket. We had 2 daily MPOCs here, but this is pulled from our higher low to our higher high, which we did wind up actually getting. It was what we were looking for, which is very nice, but we just couldn't hold it, right? We came back down, lost the value area low. Once you lose this gold 786, right, where are you looking? Down towards our next key zone of support. And this is where we're getting the bounce from. Do I think this is the low? I mean, money flow would have to fake out, right? Like this would just have to be a massive fake out on the 4-hour money flow. Not impossible, but not impossible to bounce from this level, even if it is not going to give us the massive breakout. But, at this point, if we do get the bounce here, no bullish divergences on the 4-hour. Let's come on down to some of these lower time frames. No real, I guess, no 4-hour bull divs. Lower lows on price action into a key level of support. Technical higher lows here. But again, money flow is pointing towards a continuation down. So any bounces here, I would be treating as lackluster for lower highs and lower lows. Value area low above sits at about 183.91. It's a big level. And to be quite honest, let's pull our local fib here. Even if you cracked back into this range, I would still be careful around this Fibonacci retracement. Right, sitting between 191.44 and 188.07. If you do get that bounce because of the 4-hour money flow, crossing into the red, this means lackluster retracements, lower highs, potential lower lows. If we do lose this next support zone ending at 172.80, lose the golden pocket, where's the next place for price to go? Well, very simply put, you're going to look to the 786, which is confluent with the value area high. All right, so we haven't really moved that much on Solana. So sentiment remains the same. Lose the golden pocket. You're looking down towards that value area high. Big key level of support. Hopefully, if we do come down there, this anchored VWAP can become confluent with this. That would be nice support, in my opinion. Once you get accepted into that value area high, probably looking towards that POC, if I'm being totally honest, guys. POC sitting at about 100. Actually, no. No, I'm sorry. That's not the POC. This is your macro golden pocket, which is technically already tapped. So what I would mark this out as is your bottom of the golden pocket, daily MPOC confluence. If you can't hold that, obviously, value area high, next likely place for price to go if you can't hold that last level of support. And again, because we've already bounced off the top of that golden pocket, I don't know how good this support will be. At the end of the day, lose the value area high. The next likely place for price to go is that point of control at $143. This is a huge level of support, in my opinion. The biggest level on the Solana chart right now, if we can continue down, is that 786 at $143. We lose that, probably looking to come back down to the value area low and potentially break structure to the downside here of 125.95. But it's an if this, then that, right? Just giving you guys, look into the future, right? We still have to break a bunch of support to get down there. Watch this level, 176.69. to 172.80. Lose that. We're looking down to about $167 at the 786 value area high. And hopefully that anchored VWAP can move its way up there. Huge support, right? You can see the last drop to the downside. We held the golden pocket anchored VWAP. Maybe on the second drop down, we hold that 786 anchored VWAP, which would be a nice higher low. So there you go. That's what I look at. But again, money flow, definitely looking medium-term bearish for lower highs and lower lows. So there you go. And again, that resistance, 191.44 to 188.07. So there you go. Shout out to the Dancing Lobsters. Shout out to Brian Griggs. Let's go. Shout out to Amanda Bynes. Bring out the Dancing Lobsters. All right. Shout out to Sandra says, Frankie Candles, thank goodness for the Mafia fam. BTC had me nearly in tears, and then Crystal Balls had me laughing. Shout out to Sandra. Let's go. Let's go. We might not be appropriate, but we are funny. Let's go. Shout out to the Mafia. All right, let's take a look next at, I guess, XRP. We took a look at ETH, Solana, XRP. We'll take a look at Cardano. We'll take a look at Litecoin. We'll take a look at some of the big boys. But XRP here, what do we talk about, guys? Lose the anchored VWAP. Lose that dang anchored VWAP. And we are going to be looking down. And again, this golden pocket, we do not expect this to hold as support. Why? Well, we already got the bounce from it, right? This is not something that we typically get double bounces off of. Could you? Maybe. But more often than not, if you're looking for the higher low for a higher high and a break of structure to the upside, you really want that to happen on the first tap. If we continue down here, right, I would probably be looking down towards 250 and 260, which has remained our big key level of support on XRP for quite some time. Even on this first drop down, we were looking, this was a local level that we held for a retracement, but we just put in a lower high for a potential lower low. And the big level that we were looking at for XRP, if we were going to get a bigger retracement, was just to come retest these range highs, right? So until we lose this level, not really much to worry about in my opinion. Maybe we come back down for the range high retest before continuing back up. And even if we lose this level, guys, the real line in the sand here for me on XRP is 230, right? Lose 230, just like all the 786s on almost every altcoin, pretty much everything that we just looked at. Lose that 786. Well, hey, it's pulled from the low to the high. Can't hold that higher low on the 786. Well, that invalidates the idea of the higher low and could open up the door to crack structure to the downside here, revisiting this major key level of support at the value area low and potentially breaking structure at about $1.90. But, you know, we have to lose that. We have to get to that 786 to lose it either way, right? So we're not even there. We still have not tapped into our biggest key level of support. So I wouldn't really be worried about that 786 until we're unable to hold this range high. And even then, you have the POC. You know, it probably takes some time to get down to that daily MPOC 786, but it's not until we lose that. I like to give the big lines in the sand. You lose this, probably going to get the bigger move to the downside. You know, very similar to everything else. I know all the levels are technically different, but from a context standpoint, it's the same thing on Solana, right? Lose that 786, well, you could look for the crack and structure to the downside, right? That's really going to be the big line in the sand. All right, let's see. Let's see. Shout out to Creighton C. Said, okay, I'll give you an interesting confluence. The 2-day 55 EMA has an 88% hit rate to create a bounce when correcting from an all-time high. You can wick it a bit, but it holds, then backtest the 21. Shout out to Creighton C. Maybe I'll take a look at that in a minute. We'll look at some of the altcoins. Interesting. Have to take a look at that. I wonder if it's confluent with any of our other key levels. Let us know, Creighton, because I think you know our key levels. Crypto Billy in the chat, dropping the candles. What is going on, Crypto Billy? Welcome in, man. Thank you for being here. He said, yeah, see what happens when I'm not here. Shout out to Crypto Billy. I don't know. They're talking about like double crystal balls. I don't know what's going on, man. They're talking about baby powder, liquidity, baby oil. I don't know. Baby powder, baby oil. I don't know what they're talking about, Billy. Try to wrangle these folks. But let's continue on here. We did a look at XRP, Solana. Shout out to Sandra. It said, can you take a look at OP? Yes, we could try to take a look at OP. I'm just going to pop it up real quick. I'm not going to do full analysis just yet, but I do have an OP chart here somewhere, I believe. I just take a quick check-in here to see if it's like doing anything crazy. Sometimes when people request altcoins, I'm like, oh my God, is it going to zero? Okay, yeah, we'll come back and check on this. Still got the boom boom room up here. So yeah. All right, so XRP, Solana. Let's take a quick look at Cardano. Another really, really big, still just, not much to update here, guys. This is why I haven't really been spending a ton of time on the altcoins, just because like everything's going to follow Ethereum. Everything's going to follow Bitcoin, right? And I do like to give the key levels on each specific altcoin, but, for the most part, everything remains the same, right? Like 4-hour money flow, well, if it's coming out on Ethereum, guess what? It's probably coming out on ADA as well, right? So same sentiment here. Money flow crosses into the red. Be careful of the lower highs and the lower lows, right? You are approaching your value area high here at about 83 cents. I mean, it's support, but, there's not a ton of confluence here, right? Let me see. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, no, there's not really a lot of support here. So you have the value area high, which could give you a little support at first. But again, with the money flow, lower highs and lower lows could be likely. Once you break below that 83-cent value area high, next place I would look for price to go is going to be that point of control, which is confluent with our golden pocket. And I know it looks like this is tapped, but this was actually a different golden pocket, right? So just take my word for it. This is untapped. So you have your golden pocket POC sitting between 72 and 68 cents. So get accepted. If this, then that is if we get accepted into this range and can't break back out. POC, golden pocket is going to be next. This is an area where you can look for a higher low and a higher high. If you do lose this, well, probably going to be looking down towards that value area low. Biggest key level on Cardano as of right now is going to be that 786 value area low at 61 cents. And as you can see here, we are still pretty far away, right? I mean, you can't see it, but we are still very far away. So I'm not going to really cover it for that long. But yeah, that's your line in the sand, in my opinion. Lose this, yikes. Yeah, probably not only potentially coming down to break structure to the downside here at about 51 cents, but at that point, you're getting back into your lower range, which would be not impossible, right? But it would just create more of a dump, right? Potentially coming down here the macro 786 at 43 cents. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that, though. Still have some support here. So watch that value area high, 83 cents. Get accepted back in there. Push down to the POC golden pocket. And if we come back up, Again, money flow comes out. You're looking for a lackluster retracement, lower highs and lower lows. Where is that lower high likely to come in at, Frankie? Where? Well, I would look at the full golden pocket 786 retracement, which is pulled from the absolute high to our current low. And I would also probably keep an eye on some of these local fibs as well. You don't really have a ton of confluence here on the value area low, but, value area low would be your first kind of major key level to look at, right? Just like on Bitcoin, our local value area low did actually turn out to be the place we put in that lower high, right? So you come in, reject the low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So when we take a look at something like Cardano, right, maybe you reject the value area low. If not, I would just look at these Fibonacci retracements pulled from the high to the lower high to the lower low, and then that extra little lower high to the lower low, if that makes sense. All right, if you don't know how to pull these fibs, go watch the video on the beginner series, Fibonacci retracement video. Not only do I show you how to pull it, how to set up your settings, but also how to trade this and find, pretty nice trade setups for trend continuation trades. So there you go. That's what I'll look at. Huge key level. Don't want to lose this. Lose it, coming down here in the 70s. Lose that, probably coming down to the value area low. Lose this, yikes. All right, there we go. Let's see. Shout out to Lee's, says massive V-shaped recovery this week. Close 130K. Pack your bags, boys. New wife money incoming. Shout out to Lee's. I hope so. Hopefully, and again, we'd have to fake out all the money flow. We'd have to invalidate the weekly red dot and the bearish divergence. But hey, if anybody's praying for that fake out at the TA, guys, anytime it's to the upside, I'm praying that it doesn't play out. And again, my short's already in profit. Profit's locked in. So, that's a guaranteed winning trade either way. So I'm not even praying for more downside for the short, to be honest. I think Frankie should prove whether or not he has abs. Shout out to Gig Along, but I don't want anybody to feel bad about themselves. I was blessed with a raging veiny six-pack. Just take my word for it, guys. I don't want anyone to feel bad. Just take my word for it. Just raging six-pack. But anyway, let's continue on and change the subject really quickly. 88K to 90K bottom. Shout out to Crypto Made. Yes, that could be possible. Right? That would be in the case of the much more bearish situation, but definitely not out of the cards, right? You could see that 90K bottom come in if we have to get a massive correction to the downside. And why am I saying that? Well, if we take a look at that macro volume profile, I'll take off all the other levels here. So get it nice and clean, hide those dailies, right? Why do I say that? Well, hey, let's pull up on a higher time frame. Scott, take it from look from a weekly time frame. Pull from the 75K low to the all-time high. Well, hey, if you have to come down here and get accepted into this range, POC would be next at 97K. We covered that in the beginning of the stream. If you lose that, well, hey, you do have the golden pocket value area low down here with a CME gap down there as well. Unfilled CME gap. Between $91 and about $90,000 on top of that golden pocket, right? So still an opportunity for, this would be a more bearish case, but still just massive support down there. Could be possible. Can't guarantee it, but, definitely one of the scenarios I would be looking for. All right. Okay, so we took a look at XRP, Solana, Ethereum. Let's take a quick look at Litecoin. Where we at? Let's come on over to our alt template. Is this it? Nah, we got to have more on Litecoin. Dang it. Oh, there we go. All right. So there you go. Local fib. That's old. Just get my bearings here. So, yeah, I mean, you're tapping on the doorway to higher prices. Doesn't mean that tomorrow you have to get up in here and rip to new all-time highs. But, hey, resistance is resistancing. Let me just pull this fib real quick. Yeah, so not only was it the value area low, also your golden pocket 786. So not uncommon to see corrections here, right? I would say the biggest key levels down below on a higher time frame going to be the value area high at about $100.17. Definitely a place where you can look. Let me see if we have any fib confluence there. Yeah, so I would say like big levels on Litecoin. And again, do we think that maybe money flow is coming out on the 4-hour? Well, hey, it's already in the red, right? So kind of front-running Ethereum on that money flow crossover here. But I would say the golden pocket value area high is going to be the biggest key level of support locally if we get the continuation to the downside. Yes, you have local fibs as well that you're bouncing off of right now. You're tapping that golden pocket 786. I would say lose $109.87. Definitely looking down here to about $100.68 down to $96.29. Right? That's the biggest level of support. I won't even cover the 786 because, again, unless we nuke down there right now, which I wouldn't expect this to happen in like 5 minutes, I'll just say those are the next biggest levels of support. Locally, this is your support. If you want an aggressive higher low to continue your trend to the upside, higher low, higher high, crack structure to the upside, I would say this is the lower probability based off money flow and what Ethereum looks like and Bitcoin. But, hey, if you could bounce here and put it in the higher high, nice, right? You get back above that value area high. I'll take this bigger fib off the, I just have this on the chart to show you, kind of why we're rejecting. Bearish divergences, higher highs, lower highs, little correction. But I would say if you are going to get a low time frame bounce here from the golden pocket 786, you got to reclaim 122.47. And then at that point, you could look for a break of structure to the upside. But again, if you really want this thing to cook to the upside, you're expecting the 4-hour money flow to completely fake out. You're expecting, at that point, Ethereum's money flow in the 4 hours probably faking out back into the green. Is it possible? Yes. Is it super, super probable? I would say probably not, right? It's not even like we have money flow coming out. We don't even have any 4-hour bull divs here, right? If we had 4-hour bull divs and money flow in a big red wave about to cross into the green, well, hey, that's where you can call for the big move up. So you're just expecting a complete fake out on money flow, not only on Ethereum, but also on Litecoin. So that's what I would look at on LTC, right? Maybe get a little local bounce here, but I would still be careful of lower highs and lower lows. Lose the 786 at 109.78. Come on down to the value area high golden pocket, sitting between $100.68 to $96.29. That's what I'm looking at. Shout out to Litecoin. Anyway, let's see. Frankie probably has a blueberry belly. Can somebody take a picture of me and Photoshop a blueberry on my stomach? I would absolutely love that. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Said, yeah, Darren does things. Whale games, short spot, longing futures, making this bread. Shout out, making the spread. Making the spread or making this bread. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Let's go. But the Cavs are jacked. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Yeah, the Cav. I'll show the Cavs live, right? It's a little less revealing, right? If I show, I don't know. Can you show belly button on YouTube? I don't know. All right, continuing on. We took a look at Litecoin, Cardano, Solana. What else should we take a look at? If you guys want to drop some requests in the free chat, please do not super chat your altcoins. Just drop them in the free chat. I will take a look at them for you. Yeah, blueberry belly is wild, bro. It's like that little nipple on the top of the blueberry is just your belly button. That's crazy. That'd be hilarious. Somebody Photoshop that for me and drop it in the Discord. I'll put it on a thumbnail. Bitcoin pregnant, just blueberry belly. Shout out to Satoshi Stacker said, how is Cardano looking? We actually just took a look at Cardano. If you scrub back a tiny bit, you will see it. Satoshi Stacker. We covered that in full. Sui, we can take a look at Sui. New emoji. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Oh my God, it's just me holding my stomach and it's a blueberry. I mean, hey, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. Sounds like a new meme coin. Everybody buy blueberry belly. I'm kidding. Not financial advice. I don't think it's a real thing. If it is, it's probably a scam. Full disclosure. Send belly pics, Tony D. That's crazy, bro. I'm hiding that. I'm hiding Tony D's. He's done. I kicked him out, guys. Tony D, don't get all sensual on us. But anyway, let's continue on. That was too sus. We had to get rid of that, bro. I'm kidding. Shout out to Tony D. All right, let's take a look at Sui real quick. 4-hour bull div on Bitcoin. I don't see it. Yeah, no 4-hour bull div on Bitcoin. We have, and the reason for that, right? If you're new here, bull divs are lower lows and higher lows. We have lower lows and lower lows. No bullish divergence. If we had a higher low here, right, you could have had a hidden bull div, right? You have a low, higher low, and then a low and a lower low. That could be a hidden bull div, but no bull div on the 4-hour for Bitcoin. Maybe if you're looking at like the RSI, I could check the RSI for you. I mean, it's definitely a little closer. You really have to like pinch pennies there, though. I mean, it's more of like an exaggerated bull div on the RSI, but there's no bull div on Market Cipher. So yeah, there you go. All right, let's take a look at Sui real quick. All right, so Sui. Yeah, I mean, we're pushing into the POC, guys. I'll be honest. We've already, let me just see this real quick. All right, so we've already gotten the bounce off this golden pocket. Is it possible to double bottom on the golden pocket? Maybe. It's just I don't expect these to hold up very well 2 times in a row. If you're looking for your low, high, higher, low, higher, high, you want it to be off that first tap, as I mentioned before. So I would actually take this off the chart. You know, if you bounce here, I would say it's a bounce off the POC. But you know, what'd you get here? Value area low, POC, high probability move to fill the range in full. We got that. You reject the value area high. POC is next. Especially with the way money flow looks, not only on Ethereum and all the other altcoins, obviously very similar to what we're seeing on Sui here. Money flow crossover into the red. This would say based off the laws of the volume profile, deviation above the high, back into the range. POC is your next likely target. You play around, but overall, you could be looking for a full fill of that volume profile. Money flow would also be an agreeance there, right? Money flow indicating the trend is going to continue down. Could be looking for lower highs and lower lows, eventually losing that POC and pushing down to the golden pocket value area low. But at the end of the day, when we look at the full golden pocket 786 retracement, right, like this is still good support, and so is the value area low 786. The line in the sand here for Sui, in my own personal opinion, would be the 786 here at 275. Lose the 786 at 275, well, then your higher low is invalidated, and you could be looking to break structure to the downside, right? But you're still pretty far away from that. But I would say just, you know, short term, medium term, even if you get a bounce from here, got to be careful of the lower highs and the lower lows. Biggest level on the chart right now, in my opinion, is going to be that golden pocket sitting between 312 and 303. Lose that golden pocket, you're looking down towards the value area low 786. I don't know what this is. Then the value area low 786 is sitting between 289 and 274. Lose 274. Well, hey, maybe you can go for that bigger retracement down, or I'm sorry, bigger just dump to the downside. The retracement would have to be something like that, right? Lose this. Then you're just looking for the break of structure. We're like 11 for 11 on these breaks of structure to the downside after losing golden pockets, or 786s. And it's the same thing to the upside, right? It's the same reason why we were looking for the crack of structure to the upside on Solana, which we obviously saw. We called for this forever, right? You bounce off the golden pocket. You have your high, your low, your high, your high, your low. You're looking for the highest probability to be a crack of structure to the upside. And sure, you couldn't hold it, but you did get that break of structure. And then when you're looking at your Fibonacci retracements from the upside, right, pulled from the high to the low, well, you're looking at that as your 786 here is that last line in the sand. Once you break that, well, hey, you're looking at crack structure to the upside, right? And you do get that. It's the same thing when we're looking at Sui. Just in the opposite direction, right? You can look for higher lows, higher highs, look for higher lows, higher highs, break this, you're looking at crack structure to the downside, which would be this low right here. 229. And then you do have a daily MPOC down here, right? So you can push into key support. So yeah, I'm not saying you have to see that, but again, you know, have a lot of support here. So we'll see what happens at these Fibonacci retracements, and hopefully we can hold them. Please, for the love of God. All right, let's continue on here. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Jesse, said people are not willing to win free crypto on the Friday live streams, it seems. Shout out to Jesse. They don't want to win. They don't want free money. Hey, we give it away every weekday. I mean, every week, every Friday. Once a week, we do give away 10 bags of Cardano. If we get 1,000 likes, we give away $250 in Solana. Come on, baby. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Otherwise, I would have smashed the likes already. Shout out to Jesse. Chainlink, yeah, we can take a look at Chainlink. No problemo. I do believe, where is it at? There we are. So let's take a look here. All right, well, what did we look at last week? Let me just get my bearings here with these fibs. Low, high, boom, 786. I'm a huge key level to hold. We slipped it a couple times, but we did reclaim it. Very nice. Flip the value area low to support. Where's the next likely place for price to go? Once you get inside the volume profile, if you are new here, this is a volume profile pulled from this previous range here in 2021. Once you get above these value area lows, the highest probability is to get a move to the POC. And then once you can get above that POC, you're looking for the fulfill the range to the value area high. On Chainlink, we got it again, right? We held the support at the 786. We reclaimed the value area low. And where's that next place for price to go? We tapped right in towards that POC 786 retracement. And where are we getting the rejection from, guys? We pull up these resistance levels for a reason. This is where you're looking for the rejection. Golden Pocket 786. We literally tapped it. We actually front ran the POC technically. But at the end of the day, right, definitely going to be resistance. Could get the pullback, right? But from a volume profile perspective, you could still potentially anticipate the fulfill of this range, right? Because we do have the value area high sitting up here, and the magnetic nature of the volume profile could call for the fulfill of the range. But again, when you have the fib confluence on that POC, you have to be aware that this is key resistance. There's no guarantee that you have to come up here, even if it happens 9 out of 10 times. There is no guarantee, and you do have that confluence. So if we do get honestly, daily money flow looking pretty good here. You have the daily red dot, obviously printing. 90-minute money flow kind of flat. Let's check the 80-minute money flow. 80-minute money flow trying to come out, right? So again, check that 4-hour real quick. 4-hour money flow coming out. This is just a general sign, guys. Same thing on Ethereum. Lackluster retracements, lower highs and lower lows could be the case. I would say right now your next key level of support, higher time frame. Let me get rid of this macro fib because we don't really need that anymore. Value area low. As long as you remain in the range, 1686 is the value area low. You're still pretty far away from this. Maybe you play around a little bit, right? Maybe you play around a little bit before finally getting above that POC and filling the range to the value area high. Also, when we look at the Golden Pocket 786 retracement that we have pulled here, just for context, it is pulled from the low to the high. So you have your low, your higher low, you're hoping comes in at that 786. We did wind up holding that. Could call that for that break of structure to the upside towards that value area high. So a few different reasons to look up there if we're able to crack above that POC. Can't break above the POC, you're probably coming down lower. But the biggest key level of support here is going to be the 1686 value area low, in my own personal opinion. Weekly, VWAP starting to curve down as well. Money flow in the green. That's beautiful for a continuation up in the long term. But again, red dots and green dots indicate the ebbs and flows, the ebbs and the flows. So that red dot prints, you could get another ebb or flow to the downside. But as long as that money flow stays in the green, you can overall look for higher lows and higher highs. I'll even give you a little bit more sauce here. Golden Pocket value area low confluence, right? So it makes that value area low even bigger key level of support because if you go for a little bit of an ebb or flow to the downside for another higher low and a higher high, that would be where I'd expect it to come in. Lose that 786. I'm looking to crack this low here at 1119. So there you go. That's what I would look at on Litecoin, Chainlink. Again, sentiment remains the same. Like 4-hour money flow looks pretty weak. So just be careful. Yo, shout out to Giga Longbottom said, I've already gotten 2 bags of Cardano, and I'll keep them forever. Shout out to Giga Longbottom, scamming the giveaways, winning multiple in a row. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Let's get it, baby. Smash that like button if you want free Cardano. Yo, shout out to Gifted King said, hey, Frankie, you must be left-handed like me. Normally, streamers put their camera square on the right side. Shout out to Gifted Kings. Is that true? I am not. I am like super right-handed. And by super right-handed, I mean I can't do anything with my left hand. Like anything. I could barely drink coffee with my left hand. I just can't. It's just so uncoordinated. I don't know. I just can't do it. But interesting. I gotta look at that. Is that true? I don't really watch a lot of like streaming content. Should we invert it? Should I go on the right side? Oh, my God. I don't know. Interesting. I actually didn't make this overlay, so I actually didn't even make that decision. But I think I would go left side, too. To be honest, though, right side would make a lot more sense, right? Because then I could kind of just cover up the watch list, which would be much better than covering up the end of market cipher B. Not that I ever do my TA over here, but interesting. But yeah, not left-handed. I don't know how people are left-handed. God. You ever try to throw a ball with your non-dominant hand? Good Lord. It's brutal. Dogecoin, yeah, we can take a look at Dogecoin. Free Cardano. Shout out to Matrix. Let's go. Tia also good coin to look at. Shout out to Leo. I will take a quick look at Tia. This thing probably still cooking. Yeah, not a lot to update here. Still holding your, still have your macro key level at the 786 daily MPOC down below. If you've already tapped that other daily MPOC. So I would say $1.52 to $1.47 still your big key level. If you lose that, man, this thing could potentially go down to its next Fibonacci extension level, which would be sitting down here at about $1.08. So, but you haven't broken the key level, right? Your key level sits here at $1.52. And the daily MPOC runs down to about $1.47. So this is a zone, right? Once you lose that, probably, definitely looking for a break of structure to the downside here, potentially targeting $1.08. But not really too much to update here. Just kind of wiggling around sideways. 4-hour money flow crossover into the red, just like Ethereum and every other altcoin that we just looked at. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at on TIA. Quick and dirty, baby. Let's take a quick look at Dogecoin. Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. Like, we've already bounced off this golden pocket, unfortunately. So this looks similar to XRP in my opinion, right? We tried to get above that anchored VWAP, couldn't hold it. If we can't get back above that anchored VWAP, I am probably looking down here, guys, to be quite honest. Sitting between the value area low, 786, daily MPOC, between about 17 and 16 cents. Biggest level of support is really that value area low, right? You can play around with these levels and reclaim the 786. You have another daily MPOC here. These are low-tick daily MPOCs pulled from TradingView, so they're not really the biggest macro levels, but they are there, right? But for the most part, right, if you come down, you have your low, right? Where is this pulled from? Let me just double check. Yeah, pulled from the low. So if you're low, you're high or low here on the golden pocket. The anticipation there is you really want to put in the higher high from that first tap of the golden pocket. If we come down here and tap this again, typically they don't hold up very well. Lose the golden pocket, I'm looking right down here. So biggest level, if we lose this golden pocket at 19 cents, is down here between 17 and 16 cents. You also have the weekly MPOC down there as well. All right, so huge support. Lose this, yikes. That's the line in the sand there for Dogecoin. But you're still pretty far away. So there you go. As far as market cipher, I'm just going to go ahead and guess. You think if 4-hour money flow is coming out? I will 100x long that thought. Well, there you are. Right, 100x long trade won on the money flow there. Show us the blueberry. Shout out to Kick a Long Bottom. You're crazy, bro. Yo, shout out to Al Jr. said, I mean, I don't know about you all, but I've had a cast on my right hand before. I mean, I've had a cast on my right hand as well. Anyway, let's continue on. I want to laugh. Ondo, yeah, we can take a look at Ondo. Okay, everybody calm down. I just saved, well, I still spilled the coffee, but could have been a lot worse. I'm going to go ahead and shirt this one. All right. Now my shirt's soaked with coffee, but we're going to continue on. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at Pangu, Ondo. We'll take a look at Ondo. Where are we at? Ondo. All right. And look at this, guys. Resistance is resistancing. Who knew? Golden Pocket 786, pulled from the high to the low. That's where you're coming down from. Not only did you reject that, but you also had the bearish divergences here on the 4-hour. That's where you're looking for the rejection. Bearish divergences, potential entry trigger to look to take a short. And at this point, right, money flow is coming out, lower highs and lower lows. If we get bounces, I am still going to anticipate lower highs and lower lows, potentially targeting the bigger level of support down below On our full Golden Pocket 786 retracement, I would separate this. You have the Golden Pocket POC sitting between 83 and 78 cents. So this would be your biggest support. Again, money flow crossing into the red makes you anticipate the continuation of the downtrend. And the biggest level of support there would be the Golden Pocket POC. So watch the 83 to 78 cent zone. Lose the POC. You have your 786 here. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's a pretty difficult situation at that point, right? Because you go from your low to your POC. We all know once you get above that POC, you're looking to fill your range in full to the value area high. You had that play out perfectly. The volume profiles will change your life dramatically, guys. Highest probability move that you can see on a chart as long as money flow is accompanying or in confluence with that, right? And at least on the 4 hour, you had your money flow come up. You're looking for that trend continuation up, and then the magnetic nature of that volume profile fills you in full. We reject the value area high. Next likely place for price to go is potentially that POC, right? And if we can't get the bounce off that Golden Pocket POC, we lose it. Now, honorable mention, 786 here at 73 cents. Lose that. Yikes. I'm probably looking for a break of structure to the downside here at about 62 cents, right? I'm not saying you have to do that, right? There's nothing here saying that you have to break that structure to the downside yet, but you must hold these levels. If not, you're probably going to look for a breakdown out of that range. So yeah, pretty simple there, honestly. Volume profile and fibs pretty confluent there. Perfect rejection off the Golden Pocket 786. And yeah, that's what I would look at. Yeah, I wish I had more to say, honestly. See the daily. Daily red dot confirmed. Yeah, because I wouldn't say it's impossible to get like a little bit of relief here, because if you pull your local Golden Pockets, yeah, I mean, you have your, this is local support. But again, like a bounce from here would not necessarily make me anticipate a massive move up. I would definitely be looking for lower highs and lower lows to come into the bigger Fibonacci retracement levels. So there you go. Nice and simple. POC Golden Pocket is the next target, 83 cents to 78 cents. All market cipher B looks the same. Let's see. Shout out to Emilio, said I officially sharded myself, trying to catch a short, turned into a shart, and now I'm back in. And dropping got faked out hard. Whee! Shout out to Emilio. Good lord, good lord. You never want your shorts to turn into sharts, and if you shart your shorts, hopefully you have a good washing machine. But anyway, appreciate you, Frankie was sitting next to my screen yesterday, waiting for that stream. Yo, shout out to Wolf of Crypto. I did have a funeral that I had to be at yesterday, guys. That's why there was no stream. Actually, I thought I was going to get home sooner, but it wound up turning into being much longer than I anticipated. So I hate canceling streams. Like anytime I really cancel a stream, guys, I am either in super bad shape or I have something extremely important to do. So yeah, I hate canceling streams, but that one couldn't avoid that one by in any way, shape, or form. So, but I love that you were waiting for us. I appreciate that so much, man. Sideways for 2 more months. Shout out to iSpeed. Yeah, I hope not. That would be. Oh, man, if there's something I don't root for, guys, it is sideways price action. It's great for the trades. It's great for the Discord and all that, but it's the most annoying content to make ever because it's like, let's assume, right? I'm just going to pull this volume profile. Let's just assume we bing-bong around here. Oh, back in, back to the high, back to the low, right? Like, there's just nothing to say here on the live streams. Absolutely brutal. So, yeah, if there's anything I don't root for, it is sideways price action. All right, let's take a quick look at Fartcoin. Shout out to Eugene Sky. Says lower highs and higher lows, then lower highs, better than lower lows and higher lows. Shout out to Eugene Sky. Let's take a look at Fartcoin. Speaking of sharding shorts, let's take a look here. All right, and 786, actually, this has been cracked for a while. So this is just, I mean, at this point, it makes a lot of sense. Deviation above the high. You actually didn't get, I mean, typically in a situation like this with a beautiful deviation, you're looking for bearish divergence. You don't have it here, which is pretty interesting. Maybe you have it on a higher time frame potentially. Not even. I mean, this would have been hard, right? Like this would have been, yeah, like 9 out of 10 times when you see something like this, deviation above the high, higher highs, lower highs, you know, Just didn't get the bearish divergences up there. But you got accepted back into your range. Couldn't break out. POC is next. You're losing your POC at this point. Next major target is pretty clear here. It's going to be the golden pocket, which let me just grab the, so this is from the high to the low. We have not tapped this yet, right? So golden pocket, this is 100% the next key level of support. Golden pocket, value area low, 77 to 71 cents. That's your biggest level on the chart right now. So if you're looking for higher lows and higher highs, I mean, hopefully you could hold that. But again, looking at your money flow is in the red. This looks a little different than everything else, but still money flow in the red on the 4-hour, 8-hour money flow in the red. Let's check that daily. Yeah, money flow a little bit chopped there. 2-day money flow coming out. That looks pretty bearish in my opinion. But just, short term, hopefully you could get a bounce. But, if you see this high time frame money flow continuing out, lower highs and lower lows, at least on the, over the long term, could be probable. But I would just say right now, key level of support to look at, 77 to 71 cents. Once you wind up losing this level, in my personal opinion, I would be looking for a crackdown. Maybe you get a lower high, lower low. If you can't get accepted back into that range, I drew that a little sloppily, right? Lower high, breakdown out of the range. I'd be looking at the weekly and monthly MPOC 786 confluence. This is a huge level. Even if you had to break down here, like this could still be a good place to get a bounce from. High time frame. This does sit between 56 and 51 cents. Those are the two biggest zones to look at right now. We're already on our way to that value area low. So 51 to 56 cents below the value area. And then above that, you have the 77 to 71 cent. Those are the biggest levels on the chart right now. Kind of simple, right? Lose the golden pocket. You look to go to the 786. 786 has some high time frame MPOC confluence, which is very nice to see. And could get some bounces down here, but money flow would indicate lower highs, lower lows. Where are those lower highs and lower lows likely to come in at, though? All right, well, let's pull our fib. It's kind of hard to say, right? Because if you make it to that value area low, this golden pocket 786 is going to move slightly, but it is pretty much in the same area, right? So value area high would be major resistance here. Again, this will move if we make another low. And then, I would say the POC and the value area high for the most part. POC, value area high are biggest levels of resistance. So look for lower highs and lower lows. So if you get a bounce off the golden pocket, be careful for the POC. If you crack above that POC, if that 2-day money flow is still coming out, I'd be careful around the value area high as well. But those are the two biggest levels on the Fartcoin chart. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Eric says, at this point, all I could do is laugh instead of crying at the altcoins. Shout out to Eric. Yeah, I mean, nothing really crazy happening here yet on the altcoins, right? Like, relatively, sure, like Ethereum's dumping a bit, but again, like this is just nothing not anticipated, right? Like, I wish there was like an easy way to just kind of like get this across to like have people like not panic on dumps. Like, Ethereum is up, right? Even to the current price, 202% from the lows here at $1,300. You get a massive 250% pump, and you are currently down 15%, right? This is nothing to worry about, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't mean it can't turn into something to worry about, but like this alone, this pullback alone is, like the only way, and I don't know what altcoins you're talking about, obviously, but like, on Ethereum, it's like the only way you're feeling pain on Ethereum right now is if you bought the top, right? And I don't know how I try to scream from the rooftops, like, I would never recommend anybody buy Ethereum, literally like almost the most expensive it's ever been, right? So like if you're buying up here, take that as a learning lesson, right? Like if you're feeling the pain on Ethereum, other altcoins are a different story, right? You could have like tried to get like pretty decent entries on a lot of these altcoins and still be down. But if you're like in pain on Ethereum, like this has everything to do with your entry and not the performance on Ethereum. Ethereum's doing very well. So yeah, and again, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Probably some other altcoins like DIA, right? You're thinking that's TARS. TARS also. Yeah. Man, you still have your big key level down here on TARS. Nothing really to update there. 5 cents, right? You don't want to lose that. You lose that, yikes. But something like TIA or something like that, right? Where is TIA, right? Like you could be thinking to yourself, well, hey, I'm accumulating the bear market, a pretty good range down here, right? Oh, okay. All right, sure. Oh, okay. Like you could have been buying every dump here and you're just underwater still. This is a totally different situation, but something on Ethereum, right? Like you just always see people like ETH can't catch a break. Like what? It just ripped, right? We looking at the same chart, right? For some reason, when people get into charts, right, or they start to get into crypto, for some reason, they're right here, right? They're just on that 1 minute chart. And like if you're looking at this on a 1 minute chart, like this feels like a bear market, right? But you gotta zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. When you panic, I don't know. I can't rhyme. When you're panicking, just zoom out, right? Like this is not necessarily something to worry about. And this could be pointing towards an even bigger pullback, right? Like even then, right? Like not necessarily super worrisome. And, the longer you're in Bitcoin, the longer you're in crypto, the more you'll realize, right? Like think of all the times you've panicked, right? Like even here, this is the first time during the cycle where people are like, oh my God, is this the bear market? And it's like, zoom out. You're just like retesting your structure here for the most part, right? This could be scary, but long term, right? We talk about the continuation up, right? And, as soon as something cracks macro here on the charts, guys, I'll be the first person to let you know. But yeah, and Bitcoin still bing-bonging around there. Come on, Bitcoin. Get moving. Let's see. Panic. Shout out to Sakar Itachi. Panic. Oh, my God. We're dumping. Arrow. Yeah, we can take a look at Arrow. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, shout out to Ashley says, this is the slowest bleed. It's like, it's painful death for days. Shout out to Ashley, yeah. I mean, hey, I think the best way to feel better about the dumps, guys, is to learn how to short them and make some money on the way down, right? Like this, I think the best way to like delete the emotions, right? I hold spot bags too, guys. Some of my alt bags are crushed, right? We just trade the ebbs and flows, right? Like it's like, it's like one of the best things you can do, right? It's like kind of take your mind off things. It's like, oh man, like we dumped a little bit, but we're up 3K on the Bitcoin short. Not too bad. Painful first cycle. Shout out to David. I will tell you that, right? I will 100% agree with that. This is, and honestly, I think like one of the reasons why this has been such a painful cycle for most people is because most people come here to get rich overnight in altcoins. Honestly, for Bitcoin, this is, in my opinion, like one of the healthiest and like cleanest bull markets we've ever had. Weekly money flow crosses over into the red. Accumulate. Right? We talked about this during the bear market, right, guys? Weekly money flow crossover into the red, get that first dump down. This is where you dollar cost average in, or this is where I was dollar cost averaging in. Right? I would never tell you to do the same thing. I'm not a financial advisor, but I just share with you guys what I'm doing. And then you enjoy the move to the upside. There's a reason why it's a lot less scary for someone who buys down here. It's much less scary for these pullbacks, right? This is a pullback to someone who bought down here. But if you get into crypto and you get super excited about, oh my God, Bitcoin made a new all-time high, I have to buy it, right? And you buy up here, and then you spend the next, call it, call it the next 140 days bleeding to the downside. Just understand, this has everything to do with your entry, not the performance on Bitcoin. Bitcoin had been performing absolutely beautifully, right? If you feel that pain, and you're like, oh my God. I'm not saying that's the case right now, but like if you feel that, right? Like it has much more to do with where you entered the market than it does the performance, right? Like this has been a very clean bull market for Bitcoin. Altcoins, definitely a super painful cycle for altcoins. Can't argue that. But, patience, my friends. Let's see. Shout out to TradeMate. Thank you for the super chat. Said SEI reminder. Love you. Shout out to TradeMate. Yeah, we'll take a look at SEI. And then, and Arrow. We'll take a look at SEI real quick. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have much of an update here. I'll just bring up the key levels again. Yeah, I mean, it's still the biggest level on the charts, the same as what we've been looking at ever since we put the top in here. 25 to 23 cents, value area high, golden pocket. Locally, you do have the anchored VWAP coming in at 29 cents, which might be confluent with some local fib levels. So I would say local support sitting at 30 to 28 cents. All right, so you could potentially hold this as support before continuing up. But again, looking at your 4-hour money flow crossing into the red, I would still be careful of lower highs and lower lows. I would just look at this as a lackluster bounce for lower highs and lower lows. The bigger support in my opinion, sits down here still. Macro golden pocket, value area high, 25 to 23 cents. You lose that. Very nice because I wouldn't say it's nice to lose this, but if you can't get back above that, next likely place for price to go if you get accepted into this profile is going to be the POC, and the POC is confluent with that 786, another big level to look at for a macro bounce. Lose the POC, well, simply going to look down towards that value area low. Pretty simple analysis here on SEI just because of the confluence on the fib levels and the value area levels. So 20 to 19 or 20 cents to, I'm 20 cents, right? Like, yeah, I'll just say 20 cents. 786 to the POC. Lose this, value area low sits at 17 cents, but maybe we get a little local bounce here, but I would not be really anticipating anything gigantic off of this. Hopefully, the TA just gets invalidated and we shoot up, but yeah, money flow crosses into the red. How many times do we look at this, right? Money flow crosses over into the red here. But we're bouncing. Bull market. I'm going to get rich. Well, money flow is indicating it was coming out lower high, lower low. Where's the lower high come in at? Probably on this golden pocket 786 retracement. There it is. Right? Showing you how it's played out in the past. Money flow comes out. Sure, you fake out into the green, but overall, you spent a lot of time in the green here. Probably time to spend some time in the red, making you look for a bounce. Sure, you could long that short term on leverage or something, but lower high and lower low is more likely. It'd be the same thing here locally. Where would I be looking? Well, let's pull from the high to the low. If you get a bounce from here, maybe watch this Fibonacci retracement between 34 and 33 cents. This could be one of the areas to look at if you do get a bounce. Oh my God, bull market. Lower high, lower low. Why would we anticipate that? Well, our money flow is in the red here. And it's like every time, right? Try to find another clean example here, right? Money flow in the green at the value area high. Here's your deviation above. Get back into the range. Every bounce, right? At this point, right? You put in the low here. You're looking for the bounce to the upside. Maybe you have the 4-hour bull div. Actually, you did have the 4-hour bull div. Lower lows on price action, higher lows on your momentum waves. You get the bounce, but are you anticipating that to be a massive move up? No. Why? Money flow is in the red, right? So where are you going to be looking for that lower high? I would pull from your high to your low. There's your golden pocket 786, confluent with your value area high. Where's the lower high come in? Right on that golden pocket 786. What happens after that? Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Fill the range in full. So just to give you an idea, right? It's not just like crazy talk. It's typically what we see, right? You look at 10 examples of that, 8 out of 10 times, you're going to see that be the case, right? So it's not just I'm bearish because I want things to go down, but it's just what it looks like. So yeah, that's what I would look at. If you get above that golden pocket 786, I would say the next key level is your value area low at 36 cents. So there you go. That's what I look at on SEI. Let's take a quick look at Arrow. Shout out to TradeMate. Hopefully that helps you out, brother. Mark those levels on your chart. And let's take a quick look at Aerodrome. So this is a situation where, let me see something here. Yeah, this is a situation where you didn't really get the value area high tap. So from a volume profile perspective, you're going to be looking value area low, flip it to support. POC is your next likely place for price to go. And then once you flip that POC, technically the value area high is your next target. You don't have to 10 out of 10 times hit that value area high, but the fact that you did not hit it, if you bounce off that POC, you could still potentially come up and get that, right? But when we look at all these other coins, when we look at Bitcoin, when we look at Ethereum with the money flow coming out on the 4-hour, it's the same thing on here on Aerodrome. So I would have to say that the probability of coming up and tapping that value area high is the lower probability, right? So what would I be looking at here? If you get a bounce off that golden pocket, or I'm sorry, this point of control. Yeah, you do have your golden. So here's your local support. Where's it at? Bada boom, right? So you have your golden pocket, your 786, your POC. And then, you have no 4-hour bull divs or anything like that. Yeah, your lower time frames, potential bullish divergences forming. Not something I'd be willing to trade, but if you get a bounce within this zone, I would definitely be careful of lower highs and lower lows to fill down here to our, get rid of that, 786. Tapped weekly, daily. I'd probably be looking for a lower high and a lower low based off your 4-hour money flow. And to be honest, if you lose that 786 at $1.17, the next key level is your $1.04 value area low. Simply put. And then these are some older levels. Yeah, this is irrelevant. Let me pull a golden pocket here real quick. So yeah, I would be looking for something like that, right? lackluster bounce, lower high. If you lose that 786, this is your next big key level of support between $1.04 and 98 cents. Value area low, golden pocket. That's what I'd be looking at on Arrow. 4-hour green dot could give you the bounce, but just be careful. If there's any theme of the stream, guys, it is lackluster bounces to the upside for lower highs and potential lower lows to come. And, you know, with the volume profile, lose the POC, value area low is next. Macro golden pocket sits right down there. There's just no other level that we can look at. It would be right here. So we'll see what happens. I'll even leave this circle here to see if we can come and hit it. So there we go. That's what I'd be looking at on Arrow. Shout out to Sanji. Says value area low, value area low. One of the biggest key levels on the chart for many altcoins right now. Hit value area high on my chart. Shout out to Blue Green. You might have a slightly different range pull. I don't know exactly where you have your range pulled from, but yeah. It also could vary between exchanges as well. But yeah, like the way I would pull this, I mean, you could definitely, you have probably finagle that value area low a bit lower. But yeah, I mean, this is really the area of balance. Maybe I can pull it from a little lower here. Yeah, honestly, I just can't get that value area low lower. So yeah, you might be looking at a different exchange. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Honestly, I wish we tapped that value area high because it would give me a much more confident call. If we tap that value area high, it would just look so clean, right? Tap the value area high, back to the POC, back to the value area low. Flip the value area low, POC, value area high. So yeah, I kind of wish we tapped the value area high. It'd be a much more confident call for that drop to the downside. But based off the Coinbase chart, we didn't get that, right? Actually, let me see something here. Let me pull it on. Oh, that spot. Let me just pull this on a Bybit perpetual chart. Yeah, let me see. Maybe if I could pull it on the perp chart, that value area low might come down a bit. No. Interesting. I don't know what chart you're on. It could be from the exchange or maybe just have the fib pull, range pull differently. Doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it wrong. So there you go. Shout out to Benjamin Call, said, dang, Powell didn't lower interest rates fast enough. We're going to hurt before all-time highs. Shout out to Benjamin Calls. Definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. That's that effery that we've been talking about in the market. But again, long-term, that wouldn't change my long-term outlook here. One last quick look at Bitcoin here. Probably still just chopping around. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a bounce. Let's take a look. Yeah, just still bing-bonging around here, guys, on Bitcoin. So my sentiment remains the same here. If you're just tuning in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I drop all the key levels and exactly what I'm looking at here for Bitcoin. Be careful of the lower highs and the lower lows to come in based off that 4-hour money flow. And if we do get that bigger drop, $111,000 to $111 to 110K, lose that. We're looking down to the macro golden pocket between about 109 all the way down to $107,000. Biggest level on the chart here, guys. So yeah, those are the big targets. Again, if you're just tuning in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get all the sauce on Bitcoin, all the key levels. We covered everything, and you can even watch through all the altcoins as well. But with all that being said, guys, that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. Thank you so much for hanging out here till the end of the stream. Make sure you smash that like button if you appreciate the free content, the free TA, and yeah. Hit us up, 550 likes. We'll give away 3 Frankie Candles hats on Friday. But until tomorrow, I will see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frankie Candles live stream. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up. up whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same. I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right. I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life. I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Yo, Panda the Prophet said, see y'all in the soup line. Shout out to Panda Prophet. And who said it? John Vucci said the best part about trading is there's always another trade. Whether it's up or down, we make money. Shout out to John Vucci. And guys, Billy Goat Tales tonight on X. Go check him out. Best X space, Twitter space, whatever the heck you call it. Best space out there on Twitter or X. Go check him out. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Hashtag Givers Gain. That's all I got. Somebody pump this thing back up. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road.